In this lesson, we're going to discuss the various types of security controls. Just as a skilled doctor uses different treatments depending on the nature and stage of an illness, security professionals implement various controls depending on the specific threats and vulnerabilities that they're addressing. To protect an organization effectively, it's essential to understand the details of each control type and when it's most appropriate to use each one of them. Now, there are 6 basic types of security controls: preventative controls, deterrent controls, detective controls, corrective controls, compensating controls, and directive controls. First, we have preventative controls. Preventative controls are proactive measures implemented to thwart potential security threats or breaches. These preventative controls aim to fortify your systems before an incident actually occurs. For example, a firewall is typically considered a preventative control since it can filter incoming and outgoing traffic to block any potentially harmful data packets before they penetrate your organization's network. Second, we have deterrent controls. Now, deterrent controls are aimed to discourage potential attackers by making the effort seem less appealing or more challenging. For example, at my house, we have a home burglar alarm system, and the company installed some signs outside to warn people that we have surveillance cameras and a monitored alarm system at the house. The whole idea here is to warn the bad actors out there that somebody is watching, so you may want to go break into somebody else's house that doesn't have these security controls in place. Now, in this example, the signs are the deterrent control, not the actual alarm system or cameras. Remember, warning signs or banners can be installed on your websites to indicate that monitoring is occurring, and this can help deter potential attackers from targeting your website too. These signals convey the message that illicit activities will be noticed and they could lead to potential negative repercussions for that attacker because you're going to prosecute them. Third, we have detective controls. Now, detective controls monitor and alert organizations to malicious activities as they occur or shortly thereafter. Their primary goal here is detection and notification. For example, the security cameras that are monitoring my home are considered to be detective controls. Yes, you could still break into my house. The cameras aren't going to stop you. But I'm now going to know that you broke in, and I know who broke in because I can review the video recordings and show them to the police so we can then arrest you and put you in jail for breaking into my home. Similarly, in our networks, we use an intrusion detection system known as an IDS to constantly scan our network traffic for suspicious activity. If something unusual is detected, such as an unexpected data spike, then the IDS will notify us as system administrators that something is suspicious and needs to be investigated. This makes an intrusion detection system a detective control. Fourth, we have corrective controls. Now, once a threat has been detected using a detective control, we can then use a corrective control to mitigate any potential damage and restore our systems to their normal states. For example, if your organization is infected by malware, your antivirus software is going to be used not only to detect that malicious software, but it can also quarantine and remove that malware. Now, when it's used to detect the malware, it's a detective control. But as soon as it starts doing quarantine and removal, now it is a corrective control. So sometimes you have things that actually are placed in multiple categories, even though it's a single tool. Fifth, we have compensating controls. Now, compensating controls are alternative measures that are implemented when primary security controls are simply not feasible or effective. These compensating controls ensure that protection remains intact even if the ideal control is not in place. For example, you may be running a legacy system that simply can't support the latest form of wireless encryption known as WPA3. In this case, you might instead choose to implement WPA2 and use a VPN on top of that from your endpoint to your internal servers to act as a compensating control. Now, this isn't as good as the perfect solution of using WPA3, but since you can only use WPA2 due to your legacy systems, you can add a compensating control by implementing that VPN on top of that WPA2 connection to mitigate potential vulnerabilities inside of the WPA2 encryption schema, and this will give you higher levels of data security. Sixth, we have directive controls. Now, directive controls are going to guide, inform, or mandate different actions. These directive controls are often rooted in policy or documentation, and they set the standards for behavior within your organization. For example, your organization's acceptable use policy, known as an AUP, is considered a directive control that provides guidelines on how employees are permitted to use company-owned IT assets. Most of the time, if you're asked about a policy, you're going to be able to categorize this under the term directive control. So remember, effective security is created by selecting the right controls across a wide range of categories, including preventative, deterrent, detective, corrective, compensating, and directive controls. Each control type helps to complement the other ones and create a higher level of overall security. Preventative controls build our foundation, deterrent controls discourage threats, detective controls keep a watchful eye, corrective controls jump in during emergencies, compensating controls offer backups and mitigations, and directive controls guide the entire process. As you navigate through the world of cybersecurity, your understanding of these roles and the importance of each type of security control will enable you to craft a more balanced and robust security strategy. Whether stopping threats in their tracks or swiftly responding to breaches, each control type is a piece of the larger puzzle that ensures our organizations maintain the security and resilience of their systems and networks.